Welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. All right. The topic for today is he took me on the first date and asked me to leave the tip. Red flag. Before we get started, I'd like to say welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to all the new viewers, the new subscribers, and welcome to you who have been with me from the beginning. I really appreciate you. Now we have a letter. So let's dive right into this letter and see what she says. I'm a 55-year-old woman, and I recently went on a first date with a man I've been interested in. He took me to a very nice restaurant, and overall, we had a great time. We talked, laughed, and the conversation flowed easily. I was really just trying to get the feel of who he is. But then the check came. He looked at it for a while. I went on a date with a man when the check came. He looked at it so long, I didn't know what he was doing, trying to itemize everything or what. But you know what? I think that's poor etiquette when men do that. Look at it, pay it, let's go. No sense in studying it. You know what you got? And then handed it to the waitress with his credit card. And then casually turned to me and said, "You leave the tip." Well, what? I was caught off guard. He was the one who asked me out. So I didn't expect to be told to pay for part of the meal. I did leave the tip, but I have to admit, it changed the way I saw him. I ended the night shortly after and went home. Maybe I'm old-fashioned or just out of step with how dating works these days. But if a man is already telling me what I need to pay for on a very first date, it sends up a red flag. I can't help but wonder why he did that. Was it a test? A glimpse into how he views partnership? Either way, it left me with more questions than answers. Okay. All right, let's look at this. The way that he did it. And this is the first date. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if he took you to a nice restaurant and you had a good time and everything was going great until the check came, I think he asked you to pay the tip to set the tone of the relationship going forward. Okay? So whenever he takes you out someplace, when it ever comes to the tip, that's going to be your job to pay the tip. You see, he just setting the tone for you two to date or whatever. But whenever you go out, and he'll pay the bill, but whenever there's a tip involved, he's going to be looking for you to pay. Not saying that down the line, he may be looking for you to pay your ad. Because once a man can get in your pocket, he very rarely stops until he gets it all. Okay? All right, let's look at this. Some people use money early on to test potential partners' values. He may have wanted to see if you're generous, independent, or willing to contribute without realizing how poorly it came across. You see, so he could have been testing you, but you know what? And for a woman who would have been very desperate to be with him, she would have gone and paid, and now he knows that, not that you're generous, that you will pay. Now, he could be financially cautious or struggling. Maybe he couldn't even afford to take you to the restaurant. He just did that to impress you. I remember a man took me to a very nice seafood restaurant because, I've been into seafood for a long time. And after the bill, I think the bill came to about like $100 or something like that. And, It was a very nice restaurant. And he stared at that thing so long. And even after that, he didn't ask me to pay anything now. Okay, because I wasn't even about that. But he talked about that bill during future times that we were together. He talked about that bill like he had never taken a woman on a first date and paid that kind of money. And it was just apparent. He felt some way that he was used in that situation. He invited me to the restaurant. You understand? You invite me to a restaurant, I'm going to get what I want. I'm not going to try to look for the special. I'm going to get what I want. All right? So what I'm saying is, if a man cannot afford you, he should not date you. That's what I'm saying. And if he cannot afford to take you to a certain type of restaurant, although he's trying to impress you, he should take you to where he can afford. And this way you can make your own judgment whether you want to be with him or not. You know, on the flip side of that, I had a guy to call himself taking me on a lunch date, and the lunch date was at the Burger King. Well, needless to say, I could go to the Burger King myself. I wasn't impressed at all with that. So, you know, that didn't go anywhere. But at least he did what he could afford, and he was trying to let me know that this is where he was coming from. And really, I took from it that he needed help. And I wasn't trying to help a man. You understand? So I backed away. Now, here we go. He may not be in the position to fully cover a date, but still wanted to impress you by choosing a nice restaurant. Asking you to leave a tip could have been his way of softening the cost without admitting he couldn't afford it. So ladies, you keep your eyes open for that. You know, if men ask you to pay a tip, it's probably one of these reasons why. All right, here's another reason. He has different dating expectations. Some men believe splitting the cost early on, thinking it sets a tone for more of an equal relationship. All right, let's look at that word, equal relationship. You know, men talk equal when it comes to finances. Then they want it to be equal. Want you to pay your half, they pay their half. Because what they're trying to say is, you're being with them and them being with you is an equal kind of deal. But it's not, ladies. It's not. Because the man always wants to be in charge. He wants to be the man of the whole situation. And being a man in a relationship, his responsibilities are to provide, to protect, and to proclaim his love. That's a man's role. All right? Not the woman's role. But men try to push women into that role when you're talking about the money. All of a sudden they want it equal. No, ladies, don't go for that. So bringing up splitting costs early in a relationship does set you up for a 50-50 relationship. You pay your 50 and he pay his 50. That's what it's about. All right, here's another one. He lacks awareness of first date etiquette. And that's apparent. He never thought of the impression that you would get from his actions. You know, maybe he'd been doing it all along, but then that just shows his immaturity and he wasn't ready for you. You understand? But ladies, when you run up against a man like this, you don't try to fix it. He is who he is. Either you tolerate it or you walk away. Okay? Now, you were not wrong in your judgment about this situation. You saw a red flag, and that's exactly what it was. This man is not a generous man. He's not, just because he took you to a nice restaurant He's not generous. And he's showing you that he's not going to do it again unless you be coughing up some money too. He'll start you off probably with the tip, and you probably may not get to a very nice restaurant in a while. You know, he took you there to impress you. He ain't going to try to impress you every day. And, narcissists would do that because, the love bombing wants you to think that this is what you're going to get if you be with me. Ladies, when you go on a date with these people, watch their actions, ladies. I'm talking to you. You watch what they do. Watch what they say. And listen more than you talk. Don't lay out your life to this man on your first date. Be a woman of mystery. Tell them things on a need-to-know basis. But to keep the conversation smooth, casual, fun, light. You understand? But keep your listening ears and your eyes wide open because just like on the first date, you're looking at him, he's looking at you. He's trying to see if you're going to fit into his lifestyle. Okay, ladies? And you don't sit there with stars in your eyes and all you can see is a happy life with him. You sit there to see if he is the type of man that you will be happy with. I hope that you understand the message today, and I really hope that it helps someone. Now, those of you who may have a question that you'd like for me to answer, my email address is in the description. Now, I want to thank you so much for your letters and your comments, and a very special thank you to those that leave a donation. I really appreciate all of you. I wish you all the very best, and I really hope to see you next time.